Okay, I want you to picture a place. It's it feels like it was designed for a horror movie, but it's actually a piece of forgotten American history.
Yeah.
It's November 15th, 1966. You're in West Virginia, just outside a town called Point Pleasant. You're in this place the locals just call the TNT area.
And that's such an evocative name, isn't it? Because it wasn't just a nickname. It was the West Virginia Ordnance Works.
Right.
I mean, during World War II, this is where they made explosives.
Hmm.
So by the 60s, it's just this sprawling, abandoned labyrinth of dense woods and these really strange earth-covered concrete bunkers they called igloos.
Yeah, these igloos were for storing munitions, but now they're just sitting there completely empty, dark. It's the kind of place, where kids go to park or maybe drag race, but it always had this heavy, oppressive feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
And on this one night, that feeling was about to, well, snap.
It's the perfect setting for what became one of the most, I'd say, terrifying and debated series of events in paranormal history.
But the thing is, what we're doing today, this isn't just telling a ghost story.
No, not at all. We are looking at a stack of police reports, credible witness testimonies, and even engineering failures that are all somehow linked together.
We are doing a deep dive into the Mothman,
Mm.
but we're stripping away all the internet creepypasta, all the movie tropes. We're getting down to the hard evidence.
Yeah, the 13 months of what people call high strangeness that started with this insane car chase and ended with a truly catastrophic infrastructure collapse.
And that's the crucial part, the timeline. This isn't just some random monster sighting, it's a countdown.
It absolutely is. It starts November 15th, 1966, and it ends, very abruptly, on December 15th, 1967. And in between those two dates, it's like reality in this small town just broke.
So let's go back to that night. In the TNT area, you've got two young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Millette.
And I think it's so important to establish who these people were. They weren't, drunk teenagers pulling some prank.
Yeah.
These were young married couples, locals, just out for a drive in a 57 Chevy.
They knew the area inside and out. So Roger Scarberry is driving, and they're passing this old abandoned power plant when the headlights just sweep across something by the road.
And that's the moment. Everything changes right there.
You don't see a deer, they don't see a bear. Linda Scarberry, she describes seeing two massive, glowing red eyes. She said they were about 2 inches wide and maybe 6 inches apart.
But the truly terrifying part wasn't just the eyes themselves. It was where they were placed.
Exactly, because you see eyes, you expect a face, right? A nose, a mouth, a head.
But there wasn't one. All four of them agreed on this bizarre detail. No distinct head. The eyes were set deep into what looked like its upper chest or shoulders.
Can you imagine that silhouette? Just this gray, muscular figure, maybe 6, 7 feet tall. It's standing on 2 legs like a man, but it has these enormous wings folded against its back.
And those eyes just burning in the darkness.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just standing there. As the car passed, it apparently turned to look at them.
That's when the panic hits. Roger Scarberry does what, any of us would do. He slams on the gas.
He spins the Chevy around and just tears out of there onto Route 62.
And this is a classic American muscle car. He's pushing it hard. They hit 100 miles per hour.
And this is where we have to stop and really look at the physics of this, because this is the detail that, for me, just makes the "it was a bird" argument fall completely flat.
Speed.
100 miles per hour. And this creature is chasing them.
Not just chasing them, it's right there with them. Mary Millette said she could hear it. She described this high-pitched squeaking sound like a big mouse right outside her window.
But just think about the aerodynamics. I looked into this. For a large bird to fly at that speed, it usually needs to be in a steep dive, using gravity.
Right.
To maintain 100 miles per hour in level flight right next to a car would take a huge amount of thrust.
Which means it would have to be flapping its wings like crazy.
Furiously. Beating those wings just to fight the drag. But the witnesses were absolutely at it. Roger Scarberry said it clearly. It never flapped its wings.
It was gliding.
It was gliding. So you have a 7-foot-tall, non-aerodynamic object gliding horizontally at 100 miles per hour. That defies avian physics. A bird can't do that.
It suggests that whatever this was, it wasn't flying like a normal biological creature.
It was moving in a way that just shouldn't be possible.
And it follows them all the way to the city limits. As soon as they hit the main road, it just peels off into the fields.
But they don't go home.
No, they drive straight to the Mason County Courthouse.
And this, for me, is a huge credibility marker. If you're making up a story you tell your friends, you don't go to the police. You certainly don't go to Deputy Sheriff Millard Halstead.
I was reading Halstead's account. He was a veteran lawman. He knew these kids his whole life. He said, and this is a quote, "I've known these kids all their lives. They've never been in any trouble."
He checked them for alcohol, too. They were completely sober. But what really got to Halstead was their emotional state.
He said he'd never seen anyone that terrified. He saw the raw fear. He knew that they believed they saw a monster.
So he decides to go back out there with them.
Can you imagine that drive back? You've just escaped this thing, and now you're leading the police right back to its lair.
I can't. And while they didn't see the creature again, they did encounter something else, something physical.
The radio.
The police radio. As they got near the spot, it just went haywire. Loud, unexplained static. Halstead couldn't get a signal through at all.
And that's a detail that pops up all the time in these high strangeness cases, right?
Almost always, there's this correlation between these entities and electromagnetic disruption. It's like their presence just fries electronics.
So, of course, the word gets out. The next day, the paper runs the headline. Couples see man-sized bird, creature, something.
And the skeptical explanations start immediately. The main one, the one you still hear today, is the sandhill crane theory.
Right, from Dr. Robert L. Smith at West Virginia University.
And look, to be fair, you have to try to find a known animal. A sandhill crane is big. It has a 7-foot wingspan, even has a red patch of skin on its head.
But come on, we just talked about the speed. A crane can't fly 100 miles an hour without flapping.
It can't. And there are other huge mismatches. The witnesses were clear. They looked for a neck. Cranes have these long, obvious S-shaped necks. This thing had no neck.
And then there are the eyes.
The glow. This is a huge point of contention. It's the difference between reflection and emission.
Okay, what do you mean?
So if you shine a light at a raccoon, if eyes shine back at you,
Yeah.
that's reflection. But Linda Scarberry said these eyes were fiery red and hypnotic. She was implying they were glowing on their own.
Like bioluminescence.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
we don't have 7-foot birds with bioluminescent headlights in their chests. The crane theory, it explains the size, maybe, but it ignores the behavior, the speed, and the anatomy that 4 sober witnesses described.
And it totally ignores the aggression. A crane isn't going to chase a Chevy down the highway.
No. And speaking of aggression, we have to talk about Newell Partridge.
This happened just an hour before the car chase, right?
Yeah, nearby. He's a local contractor, just sitting at home watching TV. All of a sudden, his TV screen goes nuts. Weird patterns, a loud humming sound.
The electromagnetic interference again.
There it is. And his dog, Bandit, a German Shepherd, a good hunting dog, starts growling. Partridge goes outside, shines a flashlight into his field, and he sees 2 red eyes.
And Bandit, being a brave dog, just takes off after them.
Partridge hears him barking, then a yelp, and then just silence.
That's chilling.
He never saw Bandit again. This takes the Mothman from just a spooky thing to see to a physical threat. Hallucinations don't kill German Shepherds.
So after November 15th, the dam just breaks. Point Pleasant becomes the epicenter of all this weirdness for over a year.
John Keel, the journalist who wrote the Mothman Prophecies, he called it a flap, a concentrated wave of paranormal activity. You had over 100 more sightings of the creature itself.
But it was more than that, wasn't it? There were strange lights in the sky, UFOs, poltergeist activity in people's homes.
And then you have the Men in Black.
And we're not talking about the Will Smith movie. The real reports from Point Pleasant were way more unsettling.
Oh, they were sinister and just odd. John Keel and other witnesses described these men who'd show up in town in black suits that didn't quite fit right. They drove these brand new Cadillacs that looked kind of vintage on the inside.
And their behavior was just slightly off. I remember reading that one didn't seem to know how to use a pen, or another one tried to drink Jell-O.
Yes. Keel said they had this mechanical quality to their speech. Like they were simulating being human, but didn't have all the data. It just created this atmosphere of total paranoia.
Keel didn't think they were government agents, though.
No, he thought they were part of the phenomenon itself, maybe simulacra, constructs meant to confuse and silence people. It just added to this feeling that the town was a pressure cooker.
And you have to remember, this is 1967. The Cold War is on. You have this toxic, abandoned TNT plant in the background. It feels like the boundaries of reality were just getting thin.
Keel called it a window area, a place where the veil between our world and somewhere else is just more permeable.
Which brings us to the tragic conclusion. The reason this story isn't just some fun cryptid tale, December 15th, 1967.
Exactly 13 months to the day after that first sighting.
It's rush hour, 5 p.m. The Silver Bridge, connecting Point Pleasant to Ohio, is packed bumper to bumper with holiday traffic.
People going home from work, buying Christmas gifts. The bridge was completely loaded down with cars.
And then witnesses described a sound like a gunshot, a loud metallic crack.
And in less than 20 seconds, the entire bridge just folded like a house of cards into the freezing river.
It was an absolute catastrophe. 46 people lost their lives.
Now, we do need to be clear about the engineering here. The Mothman didn't, chew through the cables.
No. The NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, they found the cause. It was a single part called I-bar 330.
See, the Silver Bridge wasn't like modern bridges with woven cables. It was an I-bar chain bridge. Think of it like a giant bicycle chain.
And a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Precisely. This one I-bar developed a microscopic stress fracture from years of corrosion in cold weather. That tiny crack grew until the steel just gave up, the chain snapped, and the whole thing came down. It's a cold, hard engineering fact.
But here's the connection that gives you chills. The moment the bridge fell,
Mothman was gone.
the sightings stopped, the UFOs stopped, the men in black vanished. It was as if all that strange energy that had built up for 13 months was just released.
Or satisfied, and you had people who felt like they were being warned. Mary Heyer, the reporter, she told Keel that for weeks she'd had this recurring nightmare of seeing Christmas packages floating in the river.
And that's exactly what witnesses reported seeing in the wreckage, presents bobbing in the dark water.
So this brings us to the core debate, really.
Yeah.
What was the Mothman?
You've got two main camps, right? Camp A, it was a monster, killed a dog, chased teenagers, terrorized the town. Maybe it even fed on the misery of the disaster.
The evil entity theory. But then you have Camp B, the harbinger. The idea that it wasn't causing the disaster, but trying to warn of it.
Like a banshee.
Exactly. Why show up 13 months before? Why draw all this attention to the area right around the bridge? It's as if it was screaming, "Look here! Something is wrong here."
But we didn't understand. We saw a monster, so we grabbed our guns. We didn't think to check the bridge's maintenance logs.
We interpreted a structural warning through the lens of folklore.
I found John Keel's final theory on this so fascinating. He moved away from the idea of aliens from space. He started calling them ultra-terrestrials.
It's a mind-bending concept. Keel came to believe that these entities, Mothman, Bigfoot, fairies, demons, they're all the same thing. They're beings that share our planet but exist on a different frequency.
So they've always been here.
Always. And they act as a sort of control system, appearing to us in forms that fit our current belief systems. In the Middle Ages, they looked like angels or dragons. In the Atomic Age, they looked like mutants from outer space.
So the Mothman was just a costume, a mask worn by something much older and stranger.
Designed to create awe and terror, and in this case, to mark a coming tragedy.
There's a sociological side to this too, though. We found some research that talked about narrative hijacking, which I think is really important.
It is. If you go to Point Pleasant today, you feel this tension. You've got the Mothman Festival, the big chrome statue of the monster that everyone takes selfies with. It's fun, it's tourism.
But then, just a couple of blocks away, there's a memorial with the names of the 46 people who died.
The argument is that the cool monster story has sort of hijacked the narrative of a very real human tragedy. It's easier to talk about a spooky Birdman than it is to talk about engineering failure and death.
It's a way of processing the trauma. We give the horror a face we can understand. You can hunt the Mothman. You couldn't stop the bridge from falling.
Exactly.
So before we wrap up, I have to ask, is it over? Because looking at the sources, I saw reports that didn't stop in 1967.
And that's the unsettling part. The Mothman seems to have gone global. There were reports of a similar creature, the blackbird of Chernobyl, seen right before the nuclear disaster in 1986.
And more recently,
Chicago. Starting around 2011 and really spiking in 2017, there have been dozens of reports of a 7-foot winged humanoid near O'Hare Airport.
from credible witnesses too, pilots, airport staff. That is terrifying. If the Harbinger theory is true, if this thing shows up before a disaster, what is it doing in Chicago?
That is the question that keeps me up at night. If it's back, is it just visiting?
Yeah.
Or is a clock ticking down on something else?
It really makes you look at the sky a little differently, doesn't it?
It does. It reminds you that for all our science, there are still corners of our reality that are dark, unexplained, and maybe watching us.
We'll leave you with that happy thought. Whether it was a mutant crane, a mass hallucination, or an ultra-terrestrial warning system, the Mothman remains one of the greatest mysteries of our time. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Stay safe and watch the roads.
And watch the skies. See you next time.